Hey everybody, Jim here with a Switch review for you today, and today we're taking a look at a game I've been having a lot of fun with, and that is Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers for the Nintendo Switch. It is also available on the PlayStation 4. This was just released here in Japan in February, and it's my understanding that there seems to be a localization for North America and Europe planned, but that hasn't happened yet, so I don't know when or if this is actually going to be released in English. But I've been playing it and enjoying it a lot, and I've actually been pretty surprised by it because I thought I didn't play the demo. Didn't know anything about it, so when I picked it up, I thought it was just going to be sort of like a generic musou style game with Persona characters, which sounded good enough to me. What I thought was going to happen was you just pick a character, and then you're dropped into a battlefield, you beat a bunch of enemies, you beat a boss, you move on, and it's all, pretty mindless. This is an action RPG, and that's sort of the selling point, right, is that it's a musou-style game, but set in the Persona universe, which is, really cool. But it's not just a mindless hack and slash. This is still an RPG, and it's very story-driven. It is a direct sequel to Persona 5, so it picks up several months after the end of Persona 5. Joker, he returns to Tokyo, he's reunited with all of his friends, and they decide that they want to go on a summer RV camping trip, and so that's exactly what they do. They jump in an old RV, and then they take sort of a tour around Japan, so you go to all these different locations. So it's like a teen comedy summer road trip movie, sort of condensed into a Persona game. But before they can leave Tokyo, there are these things called gels. They're basically little Dark World patches that are popping up, and they can be accessed with this app they have on their smartphones called Emma, and this is what they use to go into these gels. And the gels are kind of like little kingdoms for the kings and queens that rule over them, so to speak. So the first one you encounter is Alice. Alice is a kind of up-and-coming pop idol in Tokyo, and when you go into her gel, it's kind of like this weird sort of alternate version of Shibuya that's ruled over by her, and it's kind of like a carnival dedicated to her. And you see this over and over again. Each gel is kind of representative of the personality of the person that rules over it, so it's like these alternate versions of these really egotistical people that you see in the story. In the real world, the kind of people that they actually are, and they're really egotistical and sort of self-important, and they have lots of sycophantic followers. So you get a pop artist in the beginning, but then you also get this really well-known manga artist and this politician that everybody is fawning over. So there's almost like a little narrative about kind of like celebrity worship and self-importance and things like that. So it's pretty cool. All of this is told through some pretty lengthy dialogue sections and cutscenes. Actually, the first hour or two of the game, for me, really dragged because there was a lot of exposition to set all of this up. So, if you can't read Japanese, if this doesn't come out in English, and you're not going to be terribly enthralled by it, I guess, if you can't read it. And even if you can read Japanese, there's just so much exposition at the beginning, it might get a little boring. It got a little bit boring for me. Honestly, I wanted to jump in and just start hacking and slashing stuff, and it was dragging a little bit. But there are options. You can skip cutscenes entirely, or you can kind of speed through them. And the thing with that is you are prompted to give responses to other characters from time to time. And if you're just sort of speeding through the conversations, you don't really know what you're responding to. But in the end, I don't think it really matters all that much. The dialogue changes from here to there depending on what your response is, but it doesn't really alter the story not much in the way that I can tell. It might have some effect on your band level up, which I'll talk about in a bit, but other than that, the story, again, drags a little bit in the beginning, but it's actually really cool to follow along with these characters. They do some pretty fun stuff, outside of the main story of going into the gels and fighting the bad guys and stuff. There's plenty of time where the characters are just kind of enjoying themselves and having some fun dialogue. They'll go to a summer festival in their yukata and kimonos, and that's really fun. Or they'll go to the hot springs, or there was a section I thought was kind of funny where they're all at a rest stop, and Makoto is dead tired, and it turns out that she's the only one of them who has a driver's license. so she's driving the entire way. So sort of like to make up for it, everyone wants to like buy her ice cream and give her back rubs, which I thought was pretty funny. So the story, fun to follow along with, but there's a lot of it, and especially in the beginning when you want to get in there and start kicking some ass. It drags a little bit, but overall I've been really enjoying the story of this game. There's also a brand new character that I really like a lot, and she's named Sophia, and you meet her when you're in the first jail in Tokyo, and she's sort of just like a little AI program that lives in the jails. I guess she lives like in Emma, and when you come back to the real world, obviously she can't come back with you, but she does come back in a sense as she lives in your phone, which is very cool. So she's kind of like one of my new favorite characters now, because she lives in your phone, and from your phone she like sells you stuff like weapons and armor and other various items, and she uses 2 deadly yo-yos for combat, and she has all these like really cool abilities and stuff. So Sophia, very cool new character for the game. But the gameplay itself, again, not just mindless hack and slash, it is still a Persona action RPG. So you select 4 characters at a time, you put whoever you want on your team, and then you go into these jails, and they're all broken up into little different sections, and then when you engage an enemy in combat, they'll divide up into a whole bunch of different monsters for you to fight, and you can just sort of run around hacking and slashing, just constantly hitting the same button over and over again. That's not really going to do much for you, though. You're going to want to slow things down. Anytime you go to use a persona or use an item, the action pauses, which is really nice because it is pretty frantic. There are a ton of enemies on screen at any one time, or especially when you're fighting bosses, and the bosses can do just like a ton of damage in just like a couple of hits and stuff. You really want to have that break in the action, but you can, you know, rifle through all your different personas and choose all their different abilities, try to find something your enemies are weak against, go in and use your items if you need to for health and SP boost, and that's very cool. It's very helpful in the middle of combat that you can do that and sort of just pause everything, get your thoughts together, and then, you know, kind of strategize a little bit, which I'm not sure that there are many other musou style games that you can actually do that in. Also, of course, you have a whole wide array of different kinds of equipment to have, different weapons and armor and all kinds of stuff. And of course, lots and lots of personas that you can use. And even you can go into the Velvet Room and you can take 2 personas and mix them together to make a new one. So that's pretty cool, and you can do all kinds of other stuff with the personas. You can like upgrade their abilities and everything like that. And there is also the band system, which in addition to each of your individual characters leveling up, instead of just having like customizable abilities for each person, you have the band system, which you can select upgrades that will affect everyone in your party. So you can upgrade health, you can upgrade their damage or defense, and you can do other things that have other kinds of effects, like item drops and things that will affect their personas, or like how much money you get from each encounter. So that's all really cool. But at the core of the gameplay, it is still a musou game. It's a frantic, fast-paced hack and slash game. So it's a lot of fun swapping back and forth between your different characters, just slaughtering legions of enemies and doing really cool like showtime attacks and other things like that. These big, awesome like sort of cutscene takes over, and there's like big explosions and cool animations and things like that. Very drenched in that sort of like Persona personality. So I like that a lot. So that is a really great mix of Persona. Basically, I think you could put like a Persona paint job on just about any gameplay style, and it'll be pretty cool. But this is an especially nice adaptation of the Persona universe, if I do say so myself. Persona makes for great 2D fighting games, as it turns out, and it also makes for a great musou style game, so there's plenty to do during the gameplay. You know, it's fun, straightforward action, slashing, all that kind of stuff, but you have all your different personas that you can still use. You have different options for how to upgrade the characters. You have lots of options for weapons and armor, and even as you're progressing, the characters that you aren't using very much, they don't level up with the other characters that you are using more often, but they do level up at least enough that if you want to use them, they're still useful, and they can be leveled up pretty quickly if you want to go ahead and grind and get them up to speed with your other characters. I'm kind of bad for that, where I'll have like my central 4 characters, and I'll basically just use them constantly and level them up. I get comfortable with characters, and then everybody else sort of lags behind. So they don't all like level up exactly as the other characters do. There's still going to be some work to be done with them, but they do level up a little bit just to sort of like, I guess, keep them in the game, so to speak. So I like that a lot. I like all the things they did with the combat and all the things you can do with the different personas and different characters and everything. That's all great. The boss battles, those can be a little bit frustrating at times just because the bosses, they can take a lot of damage. It can take a long time to get through them, and they can kill you in pretty short order. So some of them had me pull my hair out just a little bit. Had to replay them a few times. But overall, the gameplay is very fun. Again, if you were thinking it's just going to be nothing but straightforward, mindless hack and slash, not the case. Still an action RPG. Still plenty of Persona stuff. I don't know, however you want to put it. Still plenty of RPG-ness to it. So not just a mindless hack and slash. Plenty of other stuff to the gameplay. Hey everybody, Jim here with a bit of ADR to fill in a few gameplay tidbits I forgot to mention the first time around. Kids, don't drink and review, so here we go. First is that each gel is broken up into smaller sections, and in each section you can find a checkpoint which allows you to return to that section whenever you enter the jail, but also lets you change up your party members, visit the Velvet Room to manage your personas, and you can exit the jail from here. And something to keep in mind, whenever you exit and re-enter a jail, the HP and SP for all of your characters will be restored, and I abused the hell out of this during my playthrough. Plus, you can adjust the difficulty of the game at any time if it's giving you a little too much trouble or not enough. Also, a little further into the game, after you've played through a couple of jails, you'll get these things called requests, basically little side missions that let you re-enter previously cleared jails to retrieve hidden items or defeat additional boss monsters. And finally, and most importantly, this being a summer game, you can grill food out in front of the RV. Recipes and ingredients can be found in various shops around the game, and you can put together dishes to restore your HP and SP and grant yourself some temporary stat boosts. And that'll do it for this edition of Stuff Jim Forgot. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. And on top of all that, just the style, the aesthetic of a Persona game is here. So the visuals are fantastic. All the monsters you would expect to see are here. The bosses, they have some, how do we put this? Some very interesting designs. We'll put it that way. Some really cool character designs, boss designs in this game, as is expected from the Persona series. So I like that a lot. And of course, you know, the soundtrack is going to be great. I don't think I have to tell you that. Pretty much every Persona game has this like really awesome soundtrack. So Persona 5 Scramble is no different. So basically, take that great action gameplay, pile in all that great Persona aesthetic onto it, the visuals, the character designs, all the different monsters and boss characters and music, and what you've got is Persona 5 Scramble, which is awesome. So this game I would definitely recommend to Persona fans. I think they would have a lot of fun with this if you enjoy the series. For people who just want like a straightforward, mindless musou style game, this might not be for you because, like I said, at parts it is very story heavy. There is a lot of exposition at points, especially towards the beginning of the game. Lots of tutorial stuff, lots of dialogue, exposition, stuff like that. So it drags a little bit here and there. I mean, you can skip all that stuff, but what's the point of playing an RPG if you're just going to outright skip all of the story? So if you want a straightforward musou style game, this might not be for you. You might want to play one of the other ones. I mean, there's no limit to them. There's like One Piece and Gundam, and I mean, or just play Dynasty Warriors or Orochi Warriors or something like that. You'll probably get everything you want out of that. But for fans of Persona, this game is fantastic. Again, I don't know if or when it's going to be localized, but if it's not going to be, just pick up the Japanese version. I don't know, maybe pick up a Japanese to English dictionary or something so you can enjoy the story if you don't read Japanese. But it's a great game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Haven't finished it yet, but I'm definitely going to. But so far, so good. Great gameplay, great graphics, great sound, and a fun story. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. So Persona 5 Scramble, I recommend picking it up whether or not you read Japanese, because outside of the story, it's just a fun, great game all around. So definitely give Persona 5 Scramble on the Switch a try. It gets my wholehearted recommendation. So that's going to do it, everybody. Thanks for watching, and let me know down in the comments if you've played Persona 5 Scramble, or if you've even just played the demo. What did you think of it? And are you going to wait for the localization, or do you want to go ahead and just pick it up right now? Because you can find copies on Amazon.co.jp and probably on PlayAsia as well. So let me know if you intend to pick this game up and play it, especially if you're a Persona fan. It's highly recommended. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.